Quiet, Tub.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct.
Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast. And we are live. Welcome to the Black Powder Podcast, the only real libertarian podcast that has ever existed. And I am one of your hosts. I'm announcing tonight, I am the chairman of the newly founded Wu-Tang Clan Libertarian Caucus. Woo! Coming through. That's what I'm saying. And I'm the only real libertarian. If get my stuttering for the night out of the way. And as somewhat usual, I'm joined by my non-melanated brother from...
Are you saying that I'm somewhat usual, or the fact that I'm here is somewhat usual? Like, what are you saying? I mean, both of them are true, in all honesty. Both of them bring a little bit true. Here's the thing. I've seen how you think and what you believe. And so you might, if you believe that what you are, what you believe is the true libertarian, then you're right. You might be the only one. Because in all honesty, I've heard the stuff you believe, and it frightens me. All right. So you may be the only true libertarian. We might have to start giving you that one, in all honesty.
Then what
by the standard, by the way you're defining. By the way you're defining.
My personal standards. I appreciate that. Shout out to Terry for checking in. Lovely, lovely lady. If you don't
No, she's
lovely.
Not.
Lovely.
She's not that. Nope, she's not great. Let me be very clear. She dragged me onto that horrible show. Listen, that show is the only one that's worse than this one. All right, let's be very clear about that. Dude, I got on there and it went so bad. In fact, what I didn't realize is definitely on that show is not the one to take shots at the audience. So right. I didn't realize that until we were about halfway through. You
must be a Democrat because you're blaming somebody else.
Yes. So that's something you should be able to understand, black man. So wow. It's like this.
We're talking about Free's show. Are you smarter than a politician? Tubb has been on there how many times and you've never won?
Just once. I refuse to go back on. I said, listen, if they do a tournament of losers, I'm their guy. Let's be very clear. It was so bad. Okay, like I got off the show and I owed him points. I just send him money because it was so bad. And so I said, if you ever do a show where it's just absolutely all the people who did just horribly bad, I am your leader in that one. So no, I've only gone on there once. You've gone on what? It's like 3 times now.
Yeah, I'm 1 and 2.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how you won. Who was on there that you won, in all honesty?
I think it was
Trump.
No,
I think you were on there with Trump and Al Gore. Probably. And that's how you became the winning libertarian.
Terry called you a chicken, and I tend to agree with that.
Listen,
I'm getting points already from Casey. He agrees with me. He gave me 1,101 points.
We're not doing this. We are not. Okay, then I'm giving myself 12,000 points for showing up tonight. Okay, so it's nice. No, listen, when Terry called me chicken, she's not wrong. Like I'm telling you right now, she's exactly right, and I have no shame in that one. Like I will own it. Anyway, so listen, we have far better things going on than the two of us. And Mr. Parker I think he has family in town, is what it was.
Yes, Eric Parker couldn't be with us tonight because his parents are here, and we understand that. We're going to get to our guest, but I want to introduce him as an icon libertarian. Well, he came out here to California, the 5th largest economy in the world, to get his education. It was at the wrong school. He went to UCLA. This is a USC Trojan fan podcast as well as Libertarian, but we're not going to hold that against them. We're not going to hold it. If it's a University of South Carolina for you, that's fine, Tub.
Not me either. No, listen. So I don't choose any college teams. I'll just watch college football. I don't mind. But if I don't choose a team, I can trash talk all of them. And nobody can say anything about me because I don't have a team. So I sit in the best. I'm the libertarian of college football. I don't care about a specific one, but I will dog out all of them. Unless we're talking about the Gators, in which when I dog out the Gators, I mean it. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
So we're going to reach out to the state to which I was born. Actually, I was born in Dallas, Texas, and I have a vested interest in the success of this candidate that we're bringing on. Without further ado, I'm going to add to the stage right now, Mr. Ted Brown from the great state of.
Yes, hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. We truly appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us on the Only Real Libertarian podcast. This is going to be about you today, Ted. And starting that off, what can you tell the people who you are and what you do there, buddy?
Yes, my name's Ted Brown.
Buddy.
Well, we're Texans, okay? That's all.
You're not a Texan. You don't get to be from all states, Marcus.
Yes,
Marcus is from like 13 states somehow.
The original colonies. Let's go.
Why not?
You don't want to be a part of the original colonies, my friend.
Yeah.
With Nat Turner.
Go ahead. Ted, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Ted Brown. I am running for U.S. Senate in Texas as the Libertarian Party candidate. And I did it last year also in 2024 as running against Ted Cruz. In fact, if you see my poster next to me, this poster from last year says "The Better Ted," which was my campaign slogan against Ted Cruz. And I'm happy to say that I had a record number of votes for a Libertarian Senate candidate in Texas, 267,000 votes. So I was quite pleased about that. Yeah. And it was a great campaign to show that there was an alternative to the top dog status like Ted Cruz, Republican, and Colin Allred, the Democrat. So in 2026, I'm going to be running in the other Senate seat, and there's like very hearty competition in both the Republican and Democratic sides. So I won't know who my opponent's going to be. The incumbent is John Cornyn, who's been in office for 24 years and certainly deserves to be term limited out. This time maybe by the voters instead of by any kind of law. But as for me, though, I'm a longtime libertarian activist. I've been a member my whole adult life. I joined when I was an 18-year-old college freshman way back in 1979, and I am 65 now, and I just retired after 40 years in the insurance industry, and I'm still a libertarian. I've been active my whole adult life. I've held all kinds of party positions, and I've run for office many times because I think it's very important for there to be libertarian candidates everywhere. Because unfortunately, the public is just not all that interested in politics. But every couple of years in the fall, a few people get interested and follow what's going on in the campaign. So if there was no libertarian candidate there, no one's ever going to hear about us. So I think it's important for us to be out there and to be running and let people know there is an alternative to the D's and R's who've been ruining this country and just have monopolized the politics as part of the duopoly there for the last 160 years. So we need alternatives, and I want to let people know there is one, and one that believes in freedom.
That's why I called him an icon, Tub. He's been doing this since 1979, Tub.
For real. All right, but let me be very clear. Some of us have been doing this for a while, and then some of us, Marcus, have actually run for office. So maybe what we should do once again, maybe Ted and I should just finish out the rest of the show, and you can listen to what people do when they get outside of their garage, and we actually go do something about it to actually move liberty.
Did anybody kick Don Cornelius off Soul Train? No. You can't do this without me. Dude, that's my reference.
Hold on. Whoa. Well, all right, hang on. We'll talk after. If you just made you a Don Cornelius, we're done. Like we got nothing left here to discuss.
Well,
All right.
we need
Ted,
we need communications also. So like what Marcus is doing about hosting a show like this, it's important to get out the word to as many people as possible.
That's why he's an icon, Tub.
I need you to not justify Marcus's existence. All right, it doesn't help at all. Okay,
yeah.
Listen. If this was an example of "Are you smarter than a politician?" he'd have lost points right there.
Yeah.
Right. That would have cut him. All right. So Ted, let me ask you. So I know you said you ran last year. You said it was last year.
Right.
So what made you decide to, since this isn't your first one, what made you decide to run last year?
Well, it was going to be the second biggest race in the country that would have a Libertarian candidate after the presidential race because of the population of Texas and the fact that in California, with their top two, it's almost impossible to run candidates there in the general election for third parties. So Texas was the game, and Cruz's seat was the biggest race in the country. And I said, we have to have a Libertarian in that race. We have to have a Libertarian who knows what he's talking about. And I hope that I would be the right person. And people said, Ted, if you want to do it, go right ahead. And I did. And I was quite happy with the results on it.
How did the party do with helping you when you were running last? Because you did pretty well, obviously.
Well,
so how did the party do? How did the party help and stuff like that? And how and how do you see them doing it now?
Well, not as much as I would have liked, but because it's kind of difficult. There's a lot of pull in all different directions. People were interested in the presidential campaign. Some people, unfortunately, in the party were interested in the Trump campaign, which is awful, or just interested in other local offices or whatever. So I was just doing a lot of social media. I was doing ads on like YouTube ads, that sort of thing. And it's really tough, of course, as you know, running as an alternative party candidate. I even hired a political consultant, a fellow that used to work for Democrats. And I said, can you get me on talk shows? Can you get me on podcasts? Can you get me interviews with, political reporters, that sort of thing? And he said, sure, no problem. And then he called them up. And as soon as they heard who he was working for, they wouldn't even return his calls. He ruined his reputation in the political consulting business, I think.
Way to drag him down with you, Ted. Drag him down.
Never expected it, but it's terrible that the mainstream media is just totally committed to the red team and the blue team, having that horse race that's so competitive and hateful of each other, where they have different views of reality. And here you have libertarians that don't even conform to what either of those sides think is reality, because it results in empowering government over people, and they just don't want to hear an alternative. Someone who's like opposed to that believes in personal freedom, economic freedom, etc. They don't want to hear it, and they block us out. And so, it's just a matter of we just have to take what we can, and out there, if whatever is available. And it is limited, unfortunately. I wish we could get the word out to a lot of more people.
It is. So when we were running here locally, we had spent a lot of our time. I ran for city council here, and I was on the ballot for lieutenant governor here in Florida. And running here locally, as we were campaigning, we had to spend so much of our time just explaining who the Libertarian Party is, because people had no idea. Are you having that same issue at all? And when you do, and you finally start explaining it to them, how do they tend to receive it?
Well, it's like it's just a matter of discussing the issues, kind of. So if it's what you're probably expecting, like if I talk about an issue and I sound like I'm liberal, the Republicans attack me. And if I sound like I'm conservative, the liberals attack me, and you're doing it right if that happens, because libertarians are neither liberal nor conservative, but it's just it's a totally separate philosophy, believing in the rights of the individual, the rights, as opposed to government. So that's why our views are always going to be different than the other guys. And it's based on what's not which team you're on, but what's going to promote freedom across the board. So that's why everybody gets mad at us, it seems. But once in a while, people say, oh, thank goodness you're on our side. Like today, with the cannabis descheduling that was going on today, with President Trump doing that, a lot of the marijuana groups were quite amenable for, like I posted about, well, that's fine and good, but how about descheduling, about ending all marijuana laws? And that's a timely item to bring up. today because of rescheduling is not descheduling. So it makes a big difference. Obviously, that's the time to talk about that with people who are very concerned with that issue, which is quite a few people now.
Indeed.
All right, hang on. I'm writing down. Go ahead, Marcus, because I got like 9 questions. Go ahead and go.
Before we go any further, I want to encourage all of our viewers, listeners, or whatever you may be doing, to put your money where your memes are. Libertarians are some base individuals, love to meme, love to say things about this government, but don't always love to do what it takes to make a change. And to make that change, we have to donate. And this is one of the purposes of this podcast, is to raise money for good candidates running in good races that we can when I say racist, I'm not talking about Tub. I'm talking about political races.
Because you're not a race. Because you're not a race. Is that what you're telling me? You're not a race.
No, I'm not a racist. I love everybody equally, unlike Tub. And I'm not trying to make light of the situation.
Let's be very clear. There's only one black person I don't like that I can say right from the beginning I do not like. That's you.
Well, nobody likes Clarence Thomas.
I'm fine with all of them.
I don't like Clarence Thomas. Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
All right. Anyway,
why would you think Clarence Thomas was the?
That's the first one that comes to mind of those people.
Not even you. So when Marcus thinks of black men, he doesn't think of himself at all. That's okay, Marcus. Neither do we. So don't worry about it.
I'm not black. I'm paper sack brown. Ted, you have something to say?
Right.
Well, anyway, I was going to say that's exactly right about needing donations, because there's certainly no special interest donations coming into this campaign or any libertarian campaign. Right. I make a point of not being beholden to any special interest groups or corrupt party leaders, but only to the Constitution and to the voters. And that's something we really need in Washington. So yeah, all my contributions have to come from small individual contributions from people out in the community that are just fed up with the way things are going on. Otherwise, we're just going to have some big money PAC infused candidates on both sides going up against each other in November on the Democratic and Republican side. And for me, I mean, I'm not going to be spending my time in Washington if I'm elected schmoozing with lobbyists or raising money. I'm going there. I'll serve one term, and I'm going to spend the whole time, trying to prevent government from getting bigger and do whatever I can to put a monkey wrench in the works of government. That's why I'm there. I'm not there to get reelected or to feather my nest or make money. Become a multimillionaire by spending a few weeks in office is practically what they do there on Capitol Hill. Yeah. Now they manage it, except for insider trading or whatever. But that's not why I'm going there. I want to be there to bring the government to a halt, really, if I can, and to promote freedom instead of this massive behemoth that just keeps growing and growing, on a daily basis. We need to repeal laws, not pass new ones.
Right. So if you're listening, the website is tedbrown.org/donate. You can find his platform there. Everything you need to know if you're a voter in the state of Texas. And if you're not a voter in the state of Texas, you also can do your part as a libertarian, pushing good libertarian candidates. You can still donate. And, we always say no donation is too small.
Exactly.
But, if the more you can give, the better. And with that being said,
look, I got my donate. I'm fixing to donate right now. I got the donate page open right now. I'm doing it right now.
Thanks so much. And if everybody who's listening did that and they told their friends, etc., that would be great. That would be wonderful, because we got to get the word out. It's very early now. In Texas, we have like the earliest filing deadline in the country, I think, because the primary is like in March. And our candidates are elected or selected at convention, but they base it on this real early primary, and that's actually a big problem, because here for the Democrats and Republicans, the most fanatical voters go out in the primary before most voters even are aware that there's a campaign going on, and so you get the most rabid MAGA Republican and the most crazed left-wing woke Democrat usually being nominated, and then a few months later, when it's time for the general election, the voters say, wait a minute, how'd these guys become the candidates? And so that's why there's definitely a need for alternatives. And we have a number of libertarians running for other offices here in Texas, like Pat Dixon for governor, for example. He's a real legend in the Texas Libertarian Party. And his race for governor of Texas and mine will be the biggest races in the country with Libertarian candidates this year, in 2026 based on population. So,
well, if you could reach out to him for us, we would love to have him on and talk about his candidacy as well. Not to steal your thunder here, but I'm going to make my prediction on who you're going to go against. I think it's going to be Tallarico and Corn are going to be the people you got to go against. And I think Tallarico is a quite a formidable. He's a different Democrat.
He very much is, and I know him. He's my local state representative, and he lives in my neighborhood and goes to my wife's church. I just saw him a couple weeks ago. Very nice fellow. Very nice fellow. He's never opened an economics book, but he's a very nice fellow.
Yeah, it's hard to talk crap about him if you ever heard him just talk from his heart. And
very nice.
I wouldn't vote for him, but he's different.
He's a very good person, and I would hope that he wouldn't be corrupted by the party leaders and all. But it's really a shame. It seems like every Democrat is like it's a monolith there. They like vote practically unanimously on every issue. But then again, they're under siege right now with the Trump administration, so it's hard to blame them, really.
Yeah, and I think that's it's a little microcosm of what happens when we live in a gerrymandered world, where you're going to find yourself going against, oftentimes in these local races and representative Congress and whatnot, you're going to go against another Democrat or another Republican as a Democrat or Republican. And how do you beat a Democrat? You go further left. How do you beat a Republican as a Republican? You go further right. So now we're getting the worst of the worst coming in here that are more concerned about sound bites and good TV, because campaigning is year-round now. As soon as they get in office, they're campaigning for the next election. And it's refreshing to have a libertarian perspective with the knowledge and a pedigree, a very strong libertarian pedigree that's stepping up. And, you know, as long as you're running, we'd love to have you on.
Well, I appreciate that. It's important to get the word out. And as time goes on, it's a little early. I mean, here we are in December and the election's in November of 2026. So there's going to be a lot of time between now and then to, present libertarian views. But again, people are going to forget this show. Well, no offense. They might forget this particular show in a few months. That's why we'll need a new one.
And that's it. That's it for tonight, folks. You guys already forgot about us, and we're
but we'll need another one. We'll need another one to make up for it in a few.
Yeah,
months.
I got you. Amity says she's gonna meet you at the Texas convention, and she wants you to go on an episode of "Are You Smarter Than a Politician?" I think
don't do it. Ted, don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll go on with anybody, but I'll definitely want to. I've heard of that show, but I haven't seen it, so I'd have to check it out first and see what's going on.
It's a good show.
Ted is actually, it's fun. It truly is fun. Like I like to harass them, but truly, it's a chance. They're all other libertarians. You kind of you get a chance to express your libertarian thinking amongst libertarians, but they kind of, it's a lot of lightheartedness and everything. So it actually, if you get a chance to go, actually go on.
I highly recommend it. We're not going to steer you in the wrong direction.
Is that like a game show? Because I remember a Saturday Night Live with Chris Farley years ago, where he was like accidentally got on a Japanese game show when he was a tourist, didn't understand what was going on, and then realized they were going to cut off his body parts if he lost or something. So,
okay, they're not going to do that. They're going to shame you horribly on there, but you get to leave with every body part and all the things that you went in with. You come back out, except for maybe your pride. If you go with too much pride, they're going to fix that for you. But other than that, you'll leave with everything.
Well, he already has he has his invitation open. Free just sent it right here. Ted is a legend. We love to have him on. So,
glad to, and I'll certainly keep my sense of humor about it, though.
I
can make fun of myself easily. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to, because everybody on there will make fun of you. So don't worry about it. You won't have to make fun of yourself. It'll be covered. So. Here's the thing. So I was going over your website, and of course you have all the things, and you covered all of the libertarian beliefs inside of the things, obviously. And I know so you do have to do a lot of explaining the party on there because people don't know. So, but if you were to, in all honesty, because you put your whole platform up there, but that's not what you always get a chance to go and impress upon the people as you're campaigning. So as you're out and about, what are you finding in your conversations, especially with people outside of the party, outside of Libertarian? What are you finding is the issue that you're able to kind of really push home the most?
Well, we're just starting for this election. But I'm mostly on social media. That's about the best way to see enough people. Because when you're running for a statewide office, it's not like running for city council where you can meet everybody in your town. Running for a statewide office in a state with 30 million people, it's very hard to meet all but hardly any but a tiny fraction of people. So I haven't really gone out and campaigned a lot yet physically. But it's mostly going to be, on social media and on hopefully on podcasts and radio shows or whatever I can get on to reach, as many people as possible. But the issues that I just have to, it's like the news writes itself, or the issues write themselves with Trump and others in politics. Here in Texas, Governor Abbott, people in politics just violating people's rights right and left. And so every day, practically, there's something to comment about. This week, though, Venezuela has been the big issue. I've had some posts out that have gotten quite a few views and everything about, first, a week or two ago, about not blowing up any more Venezuelan boats, with Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Hegseth, committing mass murder out there on the high seas. And then now with Trump blockading the Venezuelan ships and threatening war, and then Congress not wanting to do anything about it, just putting their tail between their legs and not claiming their war-making powers. There's just so much to talk about that, because I am the anti-war candidate. I haven't heard anything from the Democrats, and certainly not from the Republicans, being against this blowing up boats or blockading and attacking Venezuela. I mean, there has to be somebody out there, and that has to be it's a libertarian. I mean, elsewhere maybe some Greens would agree with me, but otherwise it's going to be just libertarians saying, no, we should not be at war with Venezuela. If we were going to go to war, it's up to Congress to declare war, or else it's illegal. And of course, if I was in Congress, I would vote against going to war unless the U.S. was being attacked by a foreign government. It's about the only time. So I have to keep commenting about this issue, because war and peace is so important. And here, the U.S. is like bombing people all over the world, not just Venezuelan boats. But that one is just so blatant, because we have no idea who those people are. It could be anybody. It could be a fisherman. It could be a drug dealer, or it could be a fisherman. But if it's a drug dealer, he can't even get here. It's crazy. Are they saying it might be, instead of fentanyl coming to the U.S., it might be cocaine going to Europe? So that's no business of ours. And in fact, as a libertarian, I'm against the war on drugs too. And I certainly wouldn't be enforcing it 2,000 miles from the U.S. I mean, it's one thing if these guys are trying to dock at Key West, Florida, or at Mobile, Alabama, or something, but they're not. They're nowhere near the U.S. They might be going to Aruba for all we know, which is right off the coast of Venezuela. And so is Trinidad and places like that. They wouldn't have to be coming here to drop off a bunch of drugs, even if they had drugs. But the point is, we shouldn't be fighting Venezuela. They've never threatened us. I was a big opponent of the Iraq war back in 2003 from the beginning. I never believed that there were weapons of mass destruction. And now that fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction, Venezuela has just as many WMDs as Iraq did in 2003, namely none. This is lies. The government lies. I mean, mainstream Republicans lied, like George W. Bush, and nutty Republicans like Donald Trump lie, and when they're in office, Democrats lie. I mean, that's the thing. They just want power, and they want control. There's the military-industrial complex controls both parties, and that's who we're up against. I mean, we're always going to be against those people.
That's crazy, because Trump was one of the most outspoken people against the war in Iraq.
Yeah. He was. That's the crazy thing. They've showed those clips about him debating Jeb Bush and saying, "Your brother ruined the country," or whatever. Yeah. And he was right.
And then, and the parallels are striking, because we had a no-fly zone over Iraq and an embargo on their oil since the 91, 92, since the Gulf War. And it's literally the same game plan going forward in Venezuela that they're doing right now. Trump told the airplanes to stay away from their airspace a couple weeks ago, and then he's doing the blockades. So
we have no right to do any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Americans aren't ever, Americans in general, I'm good at geography. I don't know about Tub, but there's no way that small little boat, like you said, is making this. My family's from Mobile, Alabama, Tub. I want you to know
your family's from everywhere.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. I just want you to know my family. And last week, our guest is from Key West. So I want to bring this all together. Like this whole, there is no Venezuelan drug boat reaching my family or anywhere near Stephen Nikela. And there's no fentanyl coming from Venezuela. Just to reiterate that point, because if you truly believe that, you haven't been paying attention, because they've been telling you fentanyl has been coming from China via Mexico for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, being driven across the border.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden it changed just to fit a narrative. Wake up, people.
And it's a weapon of mass destruction. Like, here's the FDA-approved drug that's used in every hospital. It's now a weapon of mass destruction. How silly and ridiculous, and and then the Trump supporters, they just like fall into line, saying, we got to get rid of those WMDs. Trump's defending us against these horrible weapons. It's just they'll believe anything.
It's buffoonery. All right, Chubb, you had 9 questions written down. I think you're at
something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Number 2.
All right. So here's all right. So we've had some people on here before, other candidates and stuff. In fact, they're not even always libertarian candidates. Sometimes they're usually, I think, have we had any Democrat candidates on?
Before you came on, yes, I did have a Democrat on.
But nothing in the past year or so? No, I know we've had Republican candidates on.
Yes.
So anyway, so what I tend to ask them, okay, because for you, for example, like you're running to go to DC.
Yes.
Okay. So inside of that, so what happens a lot of times when people start running, especially to get up to DC, what's unfortunately becoming the thing is you just have to not be the other guy. People campaign, I'm just not him. Well, that doesn't give answers. That doesn't give you solutions. Unfortunately, in politics today, it tends to work. Just don't be the other guy, and it works. But let me ask you this question first. So, what do you believe is the role of a senator in DC, and what does it have to do with people back at home in your home state?
Well, I mean, I will swear to uphold the Constitution, and I take that very seriously. And there's very few people in Washington that do. I think, like in the House, for example, Congressman Thomas Massey is probably the only one that seems to take that seriously. And then maybe Senator Rand Paul in the Senate. In fact, he's the guy I would probably contact if I was elected. Rand Paul's probably the only one that would talk to me and give me some tips about how to be a senator. But basically, senators are supposed to represent their states, and they're also supposed to, again, for the whole country, defend the Constitution. The problem in the Senate now is and this is not under both Democrats and Republicans, the leadership tightly controls what comes to the floor of the Senate, what kind of debates allowed, what kind of amendments are allowed, and the same in the House. And it's like a dictatorship in both houses, because they're just trying to pass bills that follow their special interest groups. For example, why would there be a 3,000-page bill that's like a must-pass bill that's like presented to the Congress at the last, like with 3 days before the deadline, and there's all kinds of like amendments and clauses and passages in there that nobody even knows what's in there. Like Nancy Pelosi famously said, you have to pass the bill to know what's in it. And they do this all the time. These continuing resolutions, the big, beautiful bill, this National Defense Appropriations Act that they just did, they just keep adding things in there. And it's what the special interests want. The average voter has no say whatsoever. It's these guys that give the big campaign contributions. And I'm not saying it's bribery, but whose call are you going to take? Mine or yours, or the guy that gave him a multi-million-dollar campaign contribution? They're going to listen to the concerns of those people, and those people want subsidies from the government. They want contracts. They just want way more than their share. That's for damn sure, and it's at the expense of the taxpayers, which is just about everybody. So I'm there to fight that sort of thing. I might need a bodyguard, I suppose, if I go in there like that. But that's my attitude. I'm not there to win friends and schmooze with lobbyists and schmooze with senators. That I'm there to stop them from doing the stuff they're doing. That's my goal, and that's what would help the people of Texas and the people of the country, because Texans, there's so many of us that there's a lot of people here that are being abused by government. The second most in the country after Californians, that has the most population, are being abused by the federal government. There's 30 million Texans being abused.
I like that clean. Wait, real quick. I like that clean CR where those senators, I think it was 8 of them, added a little rider in there where they're going to get at least $500,000 from the taxpayers because the government spied on them because of the legislation that they passed.
I thought they dropped that. Didn't they drop that?
No.
I think
I thought that got dropped.
Yeah, the House wanted to drop it, and they wouldn't let them.
They wouldn't let them.
But they also stuck in there, if you remember, a federal ban on hemp products. If you remember
that too. How is that a clean CR?
And Rand Paul tried to get that taken out because he represents Kentucky, which grows a lot of hemp. And 76 senators said no. Democrats and Republicans alike. They're told by their leaders this bill is going to pass the way it is. You can't change a thing. Don't muss things up. Rand.
The thing is, hypocrisy doesn't matter in DC. Like when they were just going through and they're talking about the government shutdown, and they wanted, and so it's so funny because the Republicans got up there and said, "Hey, we want to vote on each one of these spending things individually," which I think is a great idea.
Sure, exactly.
But if you remember, just about a month before that, they were boasting about passing the one big beautiful bill. I'm like, dude, how do you guys understand the hypocrisy inside of that?
Totally. And there's so many provisions in all these bills. There should not be 3,000-page bills and 2,000-page bills, and they shouldn't be just giving senators 2 days to read them, and the public doesn't have a chance to read them. There's no chance to amend them. There's no chance to debate them, except for just in general, not all the specific provisions. And there needs to be a single subject. I think there was a one subject at a time act at one time where several. I know Ron Paul was in favor of it back when he was in Congress, and several others, where there would only be one issue at a time, in the bill, so everyone could understand it, and there wouldn't be any question that somebody's just trying to sneak something in. You either just vote it up or down. If it's a good bill, vote it up. If it's a bad bill, vote it down. But they don't do that. They slip awful things in to these bills. And you can't, they say, oh, this is a must-pass bill. Widows and orphans will die. Our nation will fall into the ocean if this bill doesn't pass. Must pass. If I hear must pass, that means a deception is being of great proportion. It's being placed upon the Congress and upon the American people.
So what tends to happen though is that these guys or these people get into DC and they forget why and who sent them there. Because to them it's just I get up here now and I play DC is what I do. So let me ask you a question. I will use the example of bombing the Venezuelan ships. Little boats that are coming up. Let me ask you a question. So let's say that your people in Texas say we are fine with that and we want you to represent us. How do you live that out, and how do you practice that when you get to, because that's wrong, you know what I'm saying, but your people are saying no, we want you to continually support this. What do you do in that situation?
Well, one thing that you said, my people, my constituents, but how will I know what they all think? Because there's not a referendum on every issue, for example. Now often they say that congressmen and senators tally up, their aides tally up the calls and emails and letters that come into their offices, whether it's the office in Washington or their district offices or whatever, to see what people are thinking. But that's still a very small number of people that are that engaged. So there's, for example, the same as with the primary elections, just a small committed group of political junkies vote in those elections. but the general public isn't even aware of what's going on. So I would be skeptical if they say, well, everybody in Texas wants to bomb Venezuelan boats. Well, so what's your evidence of that? Let's take a poll let's take a YouGov poll and find out. I'm not just going to take your word for it. So I think though a representative government like we have, if they elected me, it would be one of the biggest upsets in history. And I think that whenever you elect a representative, you're expecting them to use their judgment as your representative, because we don't have a direct democracy. So, and if I was elected, it would be such an upset that I think that the public would say, you know what, we're just scrapping these Democrats and Republicans. Let's give this one libertarian out of 100 senators a chance to do his thing. And in that way, I would just go in and do my thing. I'll listen to everybody and take their advice, but when push comes to shove, it's the same with anybody who's in office. They have to use their best judgment.
Can I ask you this? What can I?
Yeah, because remember, it's your show, dude. You make it all happen, Don.
No, you're
do what you're gonna do.
This is probably going to be a relatively short answer, I guarantee you, because this very specific question. Why do you think Americans wait till the toilet gets plugged up to see there's a problem with the plumbing?
Because there isn't really a great motivation. They just don't want to lead their lives. They need to go to work. They're busy. They're trying to earn a living. They've got families. They've got responsibilities, and they just don't think about politics very much, which is a shame. It's understandable, but it's really dangerous because, as I think it was Pericles, the Greek statesman, said, you might not be interested in politics, but politics will become interested in you. And that's true. If you don't get into, or if you aren't involved in politics, if you're not at the table, and it's interesting, James Tallarico just said this the other day. I saw a clip and he was saying that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I actually agree with him on that. That's actually a very good statement, because if you're not there as part of the discussion, decisions are going to be made that you disagree with, and they're about your life. They're very fundamental. How much tax you're going to have to pay, whether you have a job or not. If you're in the hemp business, whether your job even exists or not. So if you're not there and interested in politics and being engaged, you're going to get screwed over by the system.
Because what you said right there. So it's so funny. So what promoted me to run for city council here in Jacksonville was our church got shut down for lack of permitting things from before we bought the building. And so I remember I was going in and I was talking to what is basically the equivalent to like our city planner here in town. I say town, it's a big deal. It's Jacksonville. But so I remember I go in and he was sitting there and we're talking. And he goes, well, those people over there, and he points outside of his office. He goes, yeah, those people over there. I said, hang on, who are you talking about? He goes, oh, over there at City Hall. I said, I don't even want to deal with those people at City Hall, because I'm just mad. I said, I don't even want to deal with those people at City Hall right now. He goes, oh, they're dealing with you. So it's very much what you just said. It's, hey, if you can say you don't want to deal with them, but they're dealing with you. They're doing things to you.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So here's what happens. I believe, and let me start with this. I don't like the idea of states sending their taxpayer dollars up to DC so that DC can get their paws on and pull out whatever they can do, and then states can come back and beg to get some of their own money back again.
Right.
Okay, but that's the system. And if you go up there, 1 of 100. Okay, you are, and I don't mean this. Well, the same way you dog out our show, I'm going to dog out you as one libertarian in DC. So no, one libertarian in DC isn't going to change the system.
No.
It's not going to happen. Okay. Now you get up there and you can cause some sparks and you can bring some attention to things, but you're not going to change the system.
Right.
So, what do you believe you should? Part of your role would be to go up to DC and try to get funds, if nothing else, funds and maybe contracts, whatever it can be, back into your state again. Like, do you believe that's a part of your role in DC?
I would probably oppose most of those projects even existing. So I'd have to see that on a one-by-one basis. And, I would expect that Senator Ted Cruz, who I ran against last time, who's going to be the senior senator then, if I'm the junior senator, if he wants to take care of that sort of thing, he can. I'm going to be the kind of bomb thrower kind of guy that he sort of was when he was first elected back in 2010 2012. When he was shutting down the government and making a big stink there in Washington, which he went away from, unfortunately. So
yeah,
that's somebody we need, and we need a few of those in the Senate. Rand Paul is about the only one at the moment, and he's not even that rowdy, just on a handful of issues. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because here's one of the questions I had is, if you get up there, who do you think you could immediately just start working with? You kind of like, hey, I didn't mention Rand Paul, but here's what's funny. As you said, what you just said about Ted Cruz, the reality of it is, would you be willing to work with him in such a way where you go, hey, listen, you do all the state stuff, I'm going to stir things up a little bit.
Sure. So who would you? I would certainly have a relationship with him. He wouldn't have any choice really if I was elected, as being his fellow senator. And I'm sure there's plenty of things we would disagree with. There's probably some things we would agree with. Like, I think he actually is a smart guy that understands economics and all. He just doesn't follow his inclinations anymore after he became this big shot presidential candidate and then just gave in to Trump after he lost the presidential nomination back in 2016 as the runner-up. And I just saw a message come forth about, Cruz saying that his main goal in office is to support Israel. Well, my main goal in office is to support the Constitution. So, I think he might have divided loyalties, and he's not the only one there on Capitol Hill. Whether it's not just specifically to Israel, they have divided loyalties. They have loyalty to the military-industrial complex. They'll take a call from the military contractors before they'll take a call from you. Like Tubb, if you wanted to call Senator Rick Scott's office, they'll put you on hold for the next 3 days. But if you were some big business in Florida that gave him $100,000 contribution, they put him right through the senator.
We talk about that all the time here on the podcast, where we say everybody has a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. and your state capitals except the American people.
Right, exactly. And the American people don't have it because each individual issue that comes up, it's a very small amount of your tax dollars for each small program. But if you add everything cumulatively, that's when you're talking about big bucks there, that's for sure. And so if you object to like one little program, and somebody might say, some average voter might say, oh, I don't want money for X, but I don't really have enough time to do anything about it because it's only going to save me 27 cents on my income tax, But if you put that together for all the voters, it starts mounting up, and people don't realize it.
So I'm gonna ask it. So who can you work with, and why? So let me add that part to it. It's like, why? Like, what is there somebody up there you go, hey, wait a minute? Because here's the thing: whether we as libertarians like it or not, the system is in place, and if you're going to accomplish anything, for one thing, if libertarians have a hard time understanding this, then we always want to go, well, I'm just right. Everybody needs to conform to me. That doesn't work that way.
Right.
And
I agree.
We have to learn at some point that, hey, in order to accomplish something, we got to kind of give a little bit. We got to play the game a little bit because we don't have enough in our numbers to do it alone.
Right. So well, whoever wants to promote freedom, I'm working with them, whether it's a Democrat on civil liberties issues or a Republican on economic issues. I'm willing to work with anyone. I'll talk to anybody. I'll work with anybody. And there are some, like in the House, for example, how Thomas Massey works with Ro Khanna, a liberal California congressman, on a number of things. I have no problem doing that. Except, unfortunately, while there might be more House members that are a little bit more interesting in making to ally with, there's fewer of those in the Senate, because once you get to be a senator, that's the big leagues there. Some of those guys don't want to talk to someone who wants to, put a fly in the ointment and, break down all the special privileges and everything they've got up there on the Hill. Because once you're a senator, they have to carry you out of the place usually, because you'll do whatever it takes to stay there. And I just don't think that way at all. Again, if I serve one term, is fine with me as long as I can get something done there. I'm not going to spend my senior years here running for re-election.
Because like you see the other day where Mitch McConnell fell again, because like you're saying, that's what it's become. You get up there and you ride that thing out the whole time, and you don't even care anymore. But here's the good thing: is if you get up there, hey, the swamp is drained, so you don't have to worry about it. You can get in there and get real work done, because Trump has fixed that problem.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
Well, he he became pretty swampy there. After he
Yes.
tore down part of the White House, he found some swamp under there. You know, Washington's on marshland, I think. So he just literally exposed the swamp, I think.
But that's the thing, is that it's not a matter of keeping your word. It's not a matter of going in there and actually doing what you're called to do.
Right.
And so let me ask you this question. Out of what you know and who's sitting in office now, who is, out of the other 99, because you're one, who is one that you look at and go, absolutely not? I don't think there's ever a way I can work with this person. Who would that be?
Oh my gosh. Well, he's going to be leaving office. He's going to be leaving office, but there's some like Tommy Tuberville or some kind of an idiotic loon. There's a whole number of these Republicans that are just totally. I don't even know how they can put their shoes on and get to work in the morning. There, maybe they have some assistance with that. I don't know. And then there's some really left-wing Democrats that are practically socialists that just are so stodgy about wokeness and their socialistic economic policies. It'd be very hard to work with. However, some of them would be strategically someone that might want to work with me if they see a fellow like anti-Trumpian, on certain issues, that sort of idea. But as for actual agreement on things, it would be pretty difficult, because so many of the Democrats, for example, I used to say, I could ally with them on civil liberties, but do any of them really believe in civil liberties anymore?
They don't anymore.
Not really.
Nope.
And just like I'd say I could ally with Republicans on economic freedom issues, but do any of them believe in economic freedom? Nah, just maybe Rand Paul. And probably Rand Paul, but he just gets subsumed under the swamp himself most of the time.
All right. So before we're going to start wrapping this up soon, Tub, you're going to have a question. I have a question for you. But I want to go back to this very important link right here, which is tedbrown.org/donate. If you haven't already done so, we're going to ask you to donate to this campaign so he can get some yard signs out there. This is one of the medians. If you liked something he said, please clip that, share it on social media. Let's get his name out there, help the people in Texas. And even if you, like I said, even if you're not in Texas, you can still help this man by donating to his campaign. So please do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I already did mine. My donation's already in.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And there's a lot of states that don't even have Senate races in 2026. So assume that Texas is your substitute Senate race. And then even other states may not even have a Libertarian candidate for their Senate race. So, but hopefully we'll have at least a dozen Libertarian Senate candidates. I understand Florida has one, and hopefully Iowa has I understand a very qualified candidate for Senate, who's like a county attorney or something like that. So hopefully we have some good candidates out there who are going to, make some noise for liberty.
All right. Tub, do you want to begin your closing segment?
Yeah, I get a whole segment. Is that what we're calling this now? I get a whole closing segment.
Segment question.
You mean my closing 30 seconds is what you're telling me? And you're closing 30 seconds. All right. Hey, so here's the thing, because like what we said is you are fighting a true uphill battle. Obviously, unfortunately, you could be running for dog catcher of your town, and as a Libertarian, you're still fighting an uphill battle. So we know it's an uphill battle, and we know that realistically, it's the chances of you winning it's narrow, not impossible, but narrow.
Right.
And that's not even a shot. You know what I'm saying? Because at least you're willing to stay true to the party. So many people would just cave because they just want to be in office so bad that they'll cave to one of the parties just with a chance to get in. So I always like the fact that when a Libertarian says, this is who I am, so this is how I'm going to run. And even if it means less than victory, it's still, this is what I believe in. We need to get our word out there. So I thank you for that. You know what I'm saying? But let me ask you this. So let's assume you don't win.
Right.
Okay. What do you still consider a win? Like what can you accomplish maybe for you or for the party or overall that you go, hey, I lost the race, but we gained this? What would that be?
Well, more media coverage. Certainly, I'd love to get as many or more votes as I did the last time. Unfortunately, fewer people vote in the midterm elections as they do in the presidential election. So it probably will be less raw votes, but maybe a bit better percentage. of the vote. Hopefully, people, even if they're hesitant to vote for a Libertarian for the Senate, they might vote for one of the down ticket races more, thinking, you know, boy, I just can't vote Libertarian for Senate, but I'm going to vote Libertarian for Texas Agriculture Commissioner or something like that. That's not as vital in office, but they want to show that they want an alternative to the powers that be. You know, I certainly want to help other Libertarian candidates and you know, get the word out wherever we can. But the key would be if more people believe in Libertarian viewpoints. You know, it's very hard to get them implemented, but if we don't have people like understanding and believing in freedom, then, you know, what hope do we have in the future? I mean, if fewer and fewer people believe that way.
That's it. So, sorry, I got emotional on that because that was so profound. And yeah, that's true. So let's say you're you know, door knocking for a state, not a state, but a Senate seat in the second most populous state after the great state and fifth largest economy in the world in California. But, you know, what do you say to people that are simply afraid to not vote for a Democrat or a Republican?
Well, it's like, okay, so if they're a committed Democrat or if they're a committed Republican, they're pretty much committed. Just like committed Libertarians are pretty committed to Libertarians. It's those people that are sort of out there, you know, that they aren't as you know, connected as voters. You just need to let them know that what good has this two-party system done them? As I say on my website, you don't have to vote for Democrats and Republicans. It's not a law. They've really fouled this country up. And they say, well, why should I vote for you? You can't win. My answer is, well, how can I win if you won't vote for me?
Don't vote.
It's time to change your paradigm, you know.
Yeah, because that's the major thing, and that's what I was seeing with Chase. They were like, oh, he doesn't have a chance to win. I was like, well, of course not, to Ted's point, because you won't vote, because you're scared. Because you think the other team's going to win.
Yeah, that happened really for big in 2016 with Gary Johnson. He was running like 10, 12, 14% in some polls early on. And then when it started getting closer to the election, people said, oh my God, it's Trump or Hillary? Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can't vote for this guy, even though he was. Can you imagine what this country would have been like for the last several years if Gary Johnson had been elected president? What a great guy. You know, not what the voters have had to put up with the last 3 presidential elections.
Listen, I always say so many people are libertarian until it's time to vote.
Right.
Like they'll always tell you, oh, they believe in what we say and what we do and the ideas that we have. They go, yes. And so many times I'm like, you know, I'm basically libertarian. And then when it's time to vote, they fall right back into their same old camps again.
Exactly. And it's sad. It's very sad.
How much longer, you know, because I figure I have 25 to 35 years left on the face of this earth. As the voice of the Libertarian Party.
I've seen the way you eat. You don't have that kind of time left.
Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. That's what I'm believing right now, and you know what I'm saying about it. That's what I believe. But how much more do Americans need to see? And this kind of sort of touches back on my question to you. In this insanity of voting for these same people over and over and over again and expecting different results. Why can't libertarians, when I thought we had a grand opportunity, we hark on this all the time in the last presidential election cycle to make a name for ourselves, even though we were absolutely sabotaged by the national chair, and I'm saying that out loud.
You're right.
That was our opportunity, and I was hell-bent on promoting libertarianism because I felt like this is it. This is our Gary Johnson moment again, where we can get that we could get 4 to possibly 10 million votes because nobody wanted those candidates.
Right.
But the bag, the ball, everything was fumbled.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
And that's why I've been calling us the new founding fathers, because we have to start all over again. With the Libertarian Party after last year's election for president, we are starting all over again, and this is where it begins, because we got to do the social media part.
We do, and it's just so many people just haven't heard of us because of the lack of money. I said in the past, what would happen if we actually were dollar for dollar competitive with some of these guys? Like, say, for example, last year, if Ted Cruz spent $100 million and Colin Allred spent $100 million and Ted Brown spent $100 million, obviously would it increase the vote total? I hope so, or else it's hopeless. But we just don't know for sure, because we're not doing, like, it's not apples and apples. It's more like apples and oranges, the kind of campaigns that we're running versus these like massive campaigns that are on every TV show as ads, every mailbox flyer, everywhere. They're all over the place, and you can't even avoid some of it. In fact, I feel sorry for voters in some states with all the ads they're going to get. But it's during some campaigns that are real competitive. And we just can't compete with that, because we just don't have all the goodies to offer these special interest groups to get these contributions. We just have to get like either a rich candidate or a rich candidate who's who likes us. And that's not easy to do. And he'd have to have some super PAC and do things. He can't give more than $3,300 as an individual to a campaign. But obviously, you can do a lot more with these super PACs and everything.
So libertarians, we need to focus on the social media and getting the super PAC. That is probably what we actually need to do in 2026.
Well, we need somebody like the Koch brothers, with all that money. They used to finance the libertarian intellectual movement like 40 or 50 years ago, but they went for the Republicans for a while. They got frustrated because they didn't like Trump, and they just stopped doing it anymore. They had like 10 years where they were giving a lot of money, and that's the kind of infusion we need, from somebody who's really rich and just is very happy to give us money for advertising and such. Because without advertising, it's very difficult to get the word out.
Yeah, and that's why we need to stop blowing up those Venezuelan boats so we can get some Koch brothers on our side. Because we're going to be the party that stands out in front and says, stop blowing up Koch boats.
Well,
I feel like after that statement, I should just leave. I should just leave this. I should just hit that leave button. Just like, I'm done here.
All right.
But listen, but here's the thing. Like, I truly believe that many times, and I've said this, and I say it often, that I think that our presidential and vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, I truly believe that their biggest focus, and I don't know if I really catch heat about it, but it's I don't think they should necessarily be killing themselves to win the presidential race, because they're not going to. I think what they should be doing really is focusing on getting the word out. And this is why I stress that our presidential and vice presidential candidate should be great spokesmen for the party.
Yes.
That they should be able to, because here's the thing. Once they get that platform, use it. Okay, great. Get the word out there, and then help the down ticket races. Yes. But in all honesty, I would say the same thing about you, Ted. I'd be like, great. Take what you're doing, get the word out about libertarianism. Get as much out there as you can. And if you can, like what you already said, okay, great. Okay, I might not do well, but if I can help somebody at city council, if I can help somebody like you said, for like state of agriculture, whatever it is, like you can help those down tickets because they go, hey, I really like what those libertarians are thinking, because Ted told me I'm not ready to vote for him yet, but I'll take his ideas and I'll put it in my city council or my mayor or whatever it is. And I believe that's how we can be more effective. But here's what tends to happen. We go out, we're like, I'm going to win. It's funny that every libertarian is always going to win, and they never do. And then what they do is they get so focused on their thing, and they don't think about the next step for the party. And I'm like, why don't we worry about growing the party? Because we are not the top two. Everybody already knows the top two.
Sure.
Okay. We are now at that point where we got to fight for everything that we get. And so I think we have to change our focus sometimes and go, okay, like when we ran locally, we said, how do we get the word out so that whoever runs behind us doesn't have to answer the same questions?
Right.
They can move to the next thing. And so I would suggest that, like I said, I think that you have a great opportunity in running for a state office. And if nothing else, it's a great opportunity to further the party. And I hate that has to be one of our main focuses as candidates, because we should be, listen, we are now, 54 years in. We should be past this by now. Yeah. But we aren't. So all we can do is deal with our reality. And I'm thankful that somebody like you is willing to step up to a state race and say, hey, I'm going to bring the ideas. I'm going to stir things up a little bit. Let's see what happens. I'll take the arrows on this one, but if we can help somebody else, it's a win.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes here to get the word out. So again, help me out to do that. Suggestions are welcome too. Send me an email or a private message, anything like that. And your suggestions for the campaign, or if you want to volunteer to do, help me with social media, help me with calling the media, anything you can do to help the campaign, please do.
In your wrap up, real quick, we'll give you the last minute or 2 minutes to sum up. Mm-hmm. In that, explain what you just said and give an example of, hey, I could use this, I could use this, I could use this, because it might not even have to be in stake for you in order to effectively help your campaign.
Oh, right.
So kind of be very clear.
Yeah, in fact, there was a young, like a teenager from Indiana that volunteered for my campaign last time, and he did some technical work on the computer, the kind of thing that an old timer like me wouldn't know about. But the young people always look for the youngest person to do the computer stuff. So
that's me, and I'm the youngest.
Right,
you're not even the youngest one on the screen right now, Marcus.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
Let's be very clear.
Out of the
just because you act the most immature does not make you the youngest. All right.
Yeah, I'm thinking of someone who might be our age of our kids. That sort of thing.
Right.
All right. So how do they reach Ted Brown or view Ted Brown?
Well, they can go to my email. Me is probably the best thing. tedbrown1776@hotmail.com is the best one. But go to the website. There's a thing that says contact, and it gives the same information. It gives my phone number and email address. You can also send me if you follow me on Facebook or X, you can always send me a private message there as well. So, and please follow me on Facebook and X.
Awesome.
All right, Marcus, get us out of here.
I want to thank our guest tonight, Ted Brown, the icon. And he spent a lot of time in Southern California, very near me. So he understands the pressure and stress of being somebody like myself. And that's why he's running for office in Texas, because he can connect with people like me. And that's very important, Tub, that you connect with people like me, because I'm the only real libertarian. This is Tub, who I hope will be bringing you his sermon. I'm putting you on the spot, brother. I hope you will be.
I've already stopped listening. It's fine.
If you didn't know, Tub is a pastor of a small church, and he has a message for a lot of people, and including myself. My father was a deacon.
There it is. We almost went the whole show without it. Oh,
in a Southern Baptist church. My family is from Mobile, Alabama. They went to college in Dallas, and I was born in Texas. And then, my father moved to California, where he became a police officer at LAPD and was a deacon at Morning Star Baptist Church. And so that's my background. So I know all about Tub's spirituality and his religion and all of that good stuff. So
I feel like the more you talk, the less I actually believe you know. That's the reality of it.
But thank you, Ted, for coming on the only real libertarian podcast. This is the Black Powder Podcast. Yeah. No problem. And with that being said, as we always end our podcast, live free
or die.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct.
Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast.